This is a 235 57 Chevy junkyard fresh. The only thing I did with it was put solid lifters in it. Oil engines today require oil for the lifters to be pumped up. I have ran a hydraulic lifter engine 4 hours without oil in it before I had to actually shut it down. This engine's got an Offenhauser intake, dual singles on it. It's got a 54 Corvette exhaust. I actually took it off of a school bus up in Tennessee. I've got approximately 3,500 hours on it running without oil on the same bearings. I put bearings in it 6 years ago. The longest I've ran it without oil is 11 hours. I ran out of fuel. I've got a larger tank in it now. I've got 4 engines like this. I chose this engine because it's easier to maintain. You can set the points with a matchbook. It doesn't require a computer, and you can actually see the push rods, lifters, and crank in it turning. We have modern engines out there. I shouldn't say we, but there's approximately 25 other engines out there, ranging from 6 cylinders, V8 Chevys, Mopars, diesels. We have a distributor in Minnesota, but you got a 6.9 diesel that runs all day with no pan on it. We got a 350 Cummins from a big truck documented out there that runs all day without oil. I've got a cracked block. Every now and then I run low on oil, water, not knowing it. But on several occasions, the thermostat I had pegged out to the bottom side of 100 and couldn't come back, so I had to replace them. I've got a newer one on here now. I just recently took off of this on a dare. A guy, I was explaining this and he didn't believe it, and I told him for $100 bill I'd drain the oil out of it. And I drained it, pegged it out, shut it down. It sprung it. I had to replace it. After, I don't know, 5-10 minutes maybe, I cranked it back up as if nothing happened to it. It spun right over. I added about 4 gallons of water to it. As I was adding water, it started spewing out from being hot. It actually spewed like the Chattanooga Choo-Choo. And I brought it back down to 160 and ran it another 3 hours. It's good. I use so much of it in testing, it doesn't want to come out.
One of the most expensive oils on the market too.
These micro powders are 4 to 10 microns in size, but we're going to test micro powder going over the surface of the engine versus a small molecule oil that actually permeates the metal, reduces the friction without the use of the additive. You slowly bring it down, begin to squeal. That actually broke through the protective quality.
Not even in 100, not even in 5 pounds.
5-10 pounds of pressure. There's not much of a mark there, but it was enough to get metal-to-metal contact and squeal. Move to get a fresh surface here. We're running at a little over 4 amps of pressure. Slowly apply pressure to it, bringing it down. As we apply pressure, the amperage is going to rise to keep the motor alive. Where are you on that?
20 pounds.
20 pounds of pressure. show you what damage 20 pounds of pressure did. Drawing the amperage up to about 6.
Right at 6, that's correct.
It's all good. Normally you wouldn't see this amount of pressure in an engine. You want to see Lucas over the top of it?
Sure. It's one of my favorite additives.
Lucas is an oil stabilizer that extends engine lives. It's good. It increases your viscosity. Can actually be an overkill. That's why engines today are going to a lighter weight oil.
Yeah, we were
No
talking
offense,
about
but this isn't what I'm going to do here. It's not going to alter the characteristics of any oil you use. Work it in there, bring it down, pick it back up again, allow the Lucas to get into the metal, treat it.
Not even 10 pounds.
Okay, again, slowly bring it down, applying pressure. We're at 8 amps. We're on the pressure.
20.
20 pounds of pressure, 8 amps. You gain. The scarring is just a slight less. Then again, we added a few more amps to it. But we're going to add Petron over the top of the damaged metal. And being the molecules are so small, it's actually going to go through the Lucas and the moly additives, the heating of the metal when we start squealing. Bring it down to a squeal, and in a minute you'll hear that noise actually go away. Hold it there. Did that noise go away? The heating of the metal expanded the metal, allowing Petron to permeate it, reducing the friction in it. As we apply pressure or apply the heat, this oil being polarized is actually getting into the pores of the metal and holding it. Where are you on there?
60.
60 pounds of pressure, drawing no more amperage than it did without a load. You'll see some scarring on here, but that was done from the previous metal that actually did some damage to the race prior to it being treated. We're going to rotate this again. Got a clean spot on the bearing. Bring it down about 15-20 pounds of pressure to where it begin to squeal. The oil actually permeated the metal, reduced any further friction. We're at 20 pounds of pressure, no more amperage than it did without a load. The prior test was almost locking it up. Where are we on there now?
80.
We're at 80 pounds of pressure. It raised maybe just a fraction of an amp, maybe. 80 pounds of pressure.
I'm on it.
And nothing more than a polish mark. To show you how this engine actually ran without oil for as long as it has, we're going to remove this. And we're going to run this bearing on just what's permeated in the metal from the previous test. Bring it down to 15-20 pounds of pressure again. It's not going to be thrown away when you change your oil. It's a metal treatment. You can actually run it 3 oil changes, 15,000 miles, changing on 5. Where are we on there? 20?
80.
80. I couldn't have told no more amperage than it did without a load. 80 pounds of pressure.
With no oil vat.
No squeal, no oil, and nothing more than a polish mark.